There is a quiet truth that lives beneath the surface of your everyday thoughts, a truth your mind may resist, but your soul has always known. Life is not a random journey moving toward an uncertain end. It is a carefully woven experience guided by a deeper intelligence within you. Even the moment of death, which most people fear or avoid thinking about, is not an accident. It carries meaning, intention, and purpose. Your soul, long before you took your first breath, understood the path you would walk, the lessons you would face, the love you would give and receive, and even the way your journey would conclude. The question is not whether this is true, but whether you are ready to awaken to it. Let me tell you something most people never stop to consider. You are not this body. You are not just this name, this face, this identity. There is something within you that has been watching your entire life, silent, aware, unchanging. Think about it. Your body has changed since childhood. Your thoughts have changed. Your beliefs have changed. But the one who noticed all those changes, that presence has remained the same. That is your soul. And that soul was never born. So how can it ever die? What we call birth is simply the soul entering a body. And what we call death is simply the soul leaving it. Nothing more. But we fear it because we are attached to what we can see, to what we can touch, to what feels familiar. We say, "This is me." But deep inside, you already know that's not the full truth. Have you ever felt it? That strange sense that you don't fully belong here? Like you're just passing through. That feeling is not confusion. It's memory. A quiet reminder that you are something more, something eternal. The soul does not panic at death. It does not resist it because it has crossed that doorway many times before. It understands something the mind cannot grasp, that life is a journey, not a single event, and death is just a step in that journey, like walking from one room into another. But here's the problem. We live our lives as if this is all there is. We chase things that cannot last. We build identities that time will erase. And then when death comes, we feel like everything is being taken away. But in truth, nothing real is ever lost. Only the temporary fades. The soul carries forward everything that truly matters. Your awareness, your growth, your inner state. That is what continues. That is what survives. And if you begin to see yourself in this way, something changes. Fear starts to loosen its grip. You don't cling as tightly. You don't panic as easily. Because deep down, you begin to remember, I am not this body. You start living differently, more consciously, more peacefully. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you are no longer trapped in the illusion. And slowly, very slowly, death stops looking like an ending and starts feeling like a return. Now here is something even deeper and not easy to accept at first. Your life is not sloochy. It is not something that just happened to you. There is an intelligence behind it. A quiet, unseen guidance that shaped your path long before you became aware of it. And that intelligence is your own soul. Yes, even the difficult parts. The struggles you didn't ask for. The people who hurt you. The doors that closed without warning. All of it. Not as punishment, but as preparation. Because the soul is not interested in comfort. It is interested in growth. And growth rarely comes through ease. Think about your own life. The moments that changed you the most. Were they the easy ones? Or were they the ones that shook you? The ones that forced you to look within? Those moments were not sloochy. They were carefully placed. Not by the world, but by a deeper part of you that knew exactly what you needed. Even when your conscious mind resisted it. Even when you said, "Why is this happening to me?" The soul was quietly saying, "This is shaping you. This is awakening you. This is necessary. And if that is true, then even the end of your life is not outside this design. It too carries meaning. It too is chosen on a level deeper than the mind can understand. Not in a fearful way, not in a dark or fatalistic way, but in a purposeful way. Sometimes the soul chooses a gentle ending, like a peaceful release. Sometimes it chooses a sudden one to complete something quickly. Sometimes it chooses a challenging exit, to burn the last layers of attachment. We may not understand it from the outside. We may call it unfair. We may call it tragic. But the soul does not see it that way. It sees the whole journey, not just one moment. It sees where you came from and where you are going next. And most importantly, it sees what still needs to be learned, what still needs to be balanced, because nothing is sloochy in the deeper sense. Every experience leaves an imprint. Every action carries energy forward, and the soul seeks harmony, completion, freedom. So it chooses situations that will bring that balance, even if the human part of you struggles to accept it. And this is where understanding begins to change everything. Because instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What is my soul guiding me toward?" That shift is powerful. It takes you out of victimhood and brings you into awareness. You stop fighting every difficulty and start listening to it, not blindly, not passively, but consciously. And when you live this way, you begin to trust the process, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't make sense right away, because somewhere deep inside, you start to feel it. This quiet knowing that your life is not random, that it is unfolding exactly as it needs to, and that even the final moment will come, not as a mistake, but as a completion. Now let's go even deeper, because this is something most people never realize. The way you live is quietly preparing you for the way you leave, not someday in the future. Right now. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you hold on to, every habit you strengthen, it is shaping your inner state. And that inner state does not suddenly change at the moment of death. It reveals itself. That final moment is not something separate from your life. It is a reflection of it. If the mind is always restless, always chasing, always distracted, then in the final moment, it will struggle to let go. It will reach, it will resist. It will feel pulled in many directions. Not because death is painful, but because attachment is. Attachment creates tension, and tension makes the transition difficult. But look at the opposite. A person who has learned to sit in silence, who has learned to observe their thoughts, who has slowly loosened their grip on desires, that person carries a different energy, a different awareness. For them, letting go is not a shock. It is something they have been practicing their whole life. In small ways, every time they forgave instead of holding anger, every time they released control instead of forcing outcomes, every time they turned inward instead of getting lost. Outside, they were preparing, not consciously thinking about death, but aligning with something deeper than it. And so when the final moment comes, there is less fear, less confusion, more clarity, almost like recognizing a familiar doorway. Because the soul responds to awareness, not to external situations. Two people can leave the body in the same way, but their inner experience can be completely different. One may feel fear, the other peace. One may feel lost, the other aware. The difference is not in the event, it is in the consciousness. That is why your inner life matters so much. More than what you achieve, more than what you own, because none of those things go with you. But your state of awareness does. Your level of calm does. Your ability to let go does. And here is something powerful to understand. You don't prepare for that final moment at the end of life. You prepare for it in how you live each day, right now, in the way you react to problems, in the way you deal with loss, in the way you handle uncertainty. Are you always resisting, always holding on, or are you learning, slowly, to trust, to release, to observe? Because life is constantly giving you small endings, small moments of letting go. And if you become aware of them, they become training for something much greater. So when you begin to live with awareness, you are not just improving your life. You are transforming your relationship with death itself. It no longer feels like something unknown, something terrifying. It starts to feel like a natural continuation, a transition your soul already understands. And in that understanding, there is a quiet kind of freedom. And when you begin to truly see all of this, something inside you starts to shift. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, deeply. The fear you once had begins to lose its hold, because fear comes from the unknown, from believing that everything ends, from thinking you are only this body. But now, you are starting to see beyond that. You are beginning to understand nothing real about you can be destroyed. And that realization changes the way you live. You stop rushing through life. You stop clinging to every small thing, because deep down, you know. You are not here to hold on. You are here to experience, to grow, and eventually to let go. And that letting go, it no longer feels like loss. It starts to feel like freedom. Look at your life right now. How much of your suffering comes from holding on? Holding on to people, to expectations, to outcomes. You want things to stay the same, but life is constantly moving, changing, flowing. And the more you resist that flow, the more pain you feel. But when you begin to understand the deeper truth, you stop fighting so much. You start allowing. Trusting, not in a blind way, but in a calm, aware way. You begin to feel that there is an order behind everything. Even when things don't go your way, you begin to feel that there is an order behind everything. Even when things don't go your way, even when life surprises you, there is still something guiding the process. And when that trust grows, fear slowly fades, including the fear of death. Because now, death is no longer an interruption. It is part of the flow, a continuation of the same journey your soul has always been on. And here is the most beautiful part. When fear disappears, life becomes lighter. You begin to live more honestly. You express what you feel. You love more deeply. You forgive more easily, because you are no longer living with that constant tension in the background, that quiet fear of losing everything. Instead, you feel a strange kind of peace, even in uncertainty, even in change, because you are rooted in something deeper than circumstances. And from that place, you begin to see death differently, not as darkness, but as a doorway your soul is already familiar with. A doorway that leads not into nothingness, but into a wider awareness, a greater freedom. And when that understanding becomes real within you, you don't have to force yourself to be fearless. It happens naturally because truth removes fear, not effort. So you keep living, but now with a different energy, more present, more aware, more at peace. And when the time eventually comes, whenever it comes, you won't meet it with panic. You won't meet it with panic. You will meet it with a quiet recognition, like something you've always known, finally returning. And so now the question is not when that moment will come. The real question is, how will you live? Before it does, will you keep moving unconsciously, lost in fear, lost in distraction? Or will you begin to live with awareness? Because the truth is simple. The way you live today is shaping your final moment. Right now, not later. So pause for a second. Look at your life. Are you at peace within yourself? Or are you still holding on to things that are slowly draining you? Are you living from fear or from understanding? Because one leads to struggle and the other leads to freedom. And you have that choice. Right now, not tomorrow, not someday. Now! Start becoming more aware of your thoughts. Start letting go of what you cannot control. Start connecting with that silent presence within you. The part of you that never changes. Because the more you align with that, the less you will fear anything, even death. And if this message made you pause, if something inside you felt this truth, even a little, then don't ignore it. Stay with it. Reflect on it. And most importantly, act on it. And if you want more of these deeper truths, more reminders that awaken something within you, then make sure you stay connected. Because this journey, it's not meant to be walked in sleep. It's meant to be lived consciously.